G'day, mates. Welcome into the biggest episode of the year of your lives. We've bloody done it. We've bloody done it. We've got a tier one. We've got a tier one, Ulster. It was the biggest roller coaster of a week of my life. The highs, the lows, the highs again, then the lows, and then getting opted up, getting into that 0.12 ETH as well. Mate, after 2 years of turmoil, of struggle, of pain, it finally feels good.
I think it's time we congratulated ourselves.
They always say congratulations.
Well done, mate. That was it really was a roller coaster. I mean, it was I think it was Sunday afternoon. It all came down to the man, the myth, the GOAT, Sho Sasaki. He had a pretty poor showing last weekend, and we thought, oh god, here we go. Like, the age-old theory of players who were good last season are never good the season after. They always regress back. But yeah, watching him go up, and then the Opta guy was just going mental. He was taking tackles off. He was taking interceptions off. Sho would be on 60, and then he'd be on 40. It was really quite exciting. And then towards the end of the game, it's like every time I refreshed that Sorare data page, he was up another 3 or 4 points. He was making another tackle. He was making another interception. And yeah, he pushed you all the way up into the top 30. Unbelievable.
And like like you said, also it just kept changing the scores, and like you said, and then they conceded 2 goals, and I was like, oh well, immediately they lost the clean sheet, and we're like, oh okay, that's not great. But the whole weekend was just, Nicholas Otamendi, he got the clean sheet, and then it came down to Joycey, and in 45 minutes he hadn't really looked like he's doing anything. Then he chips the keeper from outside the box. It was just this incredible, like watching those decisives and watching the boys. Buttery Joe's holding on for clean sheets. I mean, it was pretty incredible. And then what even made it more stressful was the fact that all of my players played on the same day. So that opening day of games, I was done. I had my team. I was like 12th. But then what came next was this awful weight of seeing my rank slowly slip down. And I thought that I was going to drop potentially out of tier ones. I was starting to panic because the K-League scores hadn't come on. And then next thing you know, I wake up one morning, Nicholas Otamendi's been put up 9 points and Joycey's been put up 2.5 points. And all of a sudden, I'm into the 0.12 ETH category.
Oh man, I'm so happy for you, especially to win that ETH as well. I mean, we all know that with rewards it can be a bit of a hit and miss. But the fact that I think it was a pretty high scoring game week, and you scored like 415 points in All-Star Rare, which is pretty remarkable. Like that, not that long ago, that would have been taking out number one spot. And the fact that we were like, oh God, you might drop outside the top 80 here was it says a lot about how competitive it is. But then, yeah, to finish in that top 30, I mean, 0.12 ETH is like, that's no joke. That's a serious reward on top of the actual reward you won.
Yeah, exactly. And like, given it's only been in for 2 weeks, and I remember when they made the announcement, everyone was super excited that they were now rewarding ETH for the top 80 or top 100. And I sort of thought, oh, well, that's great for the big users, but I never finish in the top 80. And then, bam, all of a sudden, I mean, like, that's 4 or 5 thresholds right there. And like you said, you put that on top of a tier one. I got a goalkeeper, which always in constant need of goalkeepers. Like, I hadn't been able to run out teams because, we're just lacking, because you don't want to go out and buy goalkeepers because they're, the worst. So to win a goalkeeper, he's 27. He's not going anywhere in a mid-table team. Can't complain.
Absolutely, yeah. I think you raise an interesting point. Like your initial reaction on seeing the ETH payouts, and I think a lot of people's reaction was, "Oh, this is classic, just looking after the whales." But
Stop trying to speak whale.
But I'm sure the whales will take care of it, but the whales have also invested a lot of money, so they kind of deserve as much, return as they're getting. But what it does do is for users like you who are kind of on that fringe, who you've you've made that step up into investing more into good quality rares. You haven't just been trying to like get by with a threshold team. You've bought some good players, and when it all comes together, which is so rare,
Got him!
when it all comes together, to be rewarded for that and not just be like, oh, I got a keeper for a mid-table team, but also I've won some ETH because I've invested money into getting to this point. That's to me is the main thing, and it encourages people to go out and get those premium cards, because even if like things couldn't have gone more perfectly for you and you still only finished 28th, like it's to be rewarded for that is so good. You're not just having to try and shoot for podiums, because that really is just out of the reach of pretty much everyone except the absolute whales. So I think this is a shining example of how good this is for the platform and how good it is for those users who do take that next step and invest a little bit more.
And as well, like obviously we've seen kickoff rare, kickoff super rare, and then sort of trying to map out the progression for users. Winning 0.12 ETH in a game week, like you said, that kind of does open up the progression. Now it's like, okay, well, holy shit, I could go and get a super rare and I can start making my way into that next division.
Like that's ever going to happen.
You have a 2 or 3 good weeks in rare, and bang, all of a sudden that you're now pushing that high bracket. So yeah, definitely think that you got to get there first. But yeah, I definitely could see how that can help you make that next step.
Yeah, exactly. Now you've got a new keeper that you can bring in, and all of a sudden you've got some excess pieces that you could potentially consolidate into some super rares, which we have spoken about. So yeah.
And I'll touch on you to win as well, but I just want to finish with, how good is it that I had a strategy and it bloody worked? It bloody worked. All last year I had the best MLS guys you could get, or not, very good guys. Absolute smashers. Pretty close. And this season we were like, all right, let's, we almost went off track a number of times, but we said, let's stick to the plan and we'll get some good quality Europeans. You know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And then worst case, if you can't get a full team of Europeans, we can compare them with some of those attacking, American and J-League players. And it was so refreshing to see Lucas Alrayan get 33 points and Tom Hay get 72 in a 4-1 loss. And it's like, this is why we do it. Good feeling. Good feeling.
It's quite serendipitous that both teams had a 4-1 loss, and yet Tom Hay just did what Tom Hay does. It's why we bought him. Even if he doesn't get a decisive, he's going to get you at least 55, 60, and he's not going to kill that lineup. You got the Buttery Joe clean sheet. That's something to savor. That doesn't happen. That happens but once a year. And it would have been a nightmare if you'd been like, right, Buttery Joe's got the clean sheet. Now I've got to sit back and watch Zelarayan, hopefully, piece something together. But you didn't have to worry about that because you had the old reliables.
Yeah. And it was a good feeling, man. And I expect to win every week from now on. I'm addicted.
No, not this time. It's totally made up. Pure fiction. It's fiction. It's fiction.
I'm addicted to winning.
Confidence
So
is their all-time high.
there's no coming down. I'm sure this week will be perfectly fun. Tell us about you, mate. You had a big win yourself.
I did have a big win. I came 4th in America Rare Pro. So
it's no all-star, but
it's no all-star. You're right. I think I don't know what I would have come if it was in all-star. Let me get my get the old team up here. Where are we? Funnily enough, Eugenio really let me down here. I probably would have won the division if he'd done anything. A 5-2 win, and he just. I was watching his scores the whole game. He just did nothing. Just wasn't involved at all. So that was a bit of a letdown. Gaesi came through with the cleanie, which is great. Always good when your keeper has a big performance as a super rare. Darwin Quintero may be the best purchase I've ever made in my life. There's nothing like a 35-year-old forward just returning back to Colombia to absolutely crush in a Farmers League. Carlos kind of did what Carlos does, except no decisive. And then my boy Lissandro, who has also been a fantastic purchase for me. Just a little kind of like strategical tip for anyone out there. If you can find a defender that takes pens, snap him up. Because I mean, he didn't actually score a pen in this case. He just scored a goal, off a corner. But having a defender that scores well and then having that potential of the, occasional goal or assist is just massive. It can really turn those, okay scores into amazing scores. He banged in the goal pretty early in the game, and there's nothing better than when you get that notification early and you don't have to sweat it, and then everything on top of that's just gravy. So yeah, I was watching him go up, had a bit of a sweat on Tuesday. There was still quite a few American games to go. I was watching as people were overtaking me. I went from 4th to 5th to 6th to 7th. I was happy with 7th. I was like, look, everything in this star pool is great, except for maybe Dane St. Clair. I probably wouldn't have been too happy with that. Everything in the star pool is great. As long as I get a star, I'm happy. And then the Opta gods shined upon me as well as you. I think we're using up all of our Opta Karma this weekend. And they bumped me back up to 4th. So very happy to be the proud new owner of Lucas Zelarayan, which is just, my history of this guy goes back quite a long way. This is now the 3rd separate time that he's come into my gallery. He was one of the first cards that I bought when I made my initial big investment into Sorare. I then bought him infamously for 1 ETH at the start of last season, which at the time was like 7,000 Australian dollars. I then sold him more recently to kind of try and bring in a few more European super rares, and now here he is again.
No question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
He's back. He's got the worst haircut on Sorare, but he's in the gallery.
And he's taking on DC United this coming weekend, so I'm excited for his return to the Breezy FC lineups, mate. Exciting player to watch. If he gets a good matchup, if there's a such thing in the MLS, mate, he's the best card to watch. He's so exciting, super cool.
It has created a bit of a dilemma for me in that I've now got Carlos Hill, I've got Zelarayan, I've got some good American rares, but my strategy coming into the season was to focus purely on America's super rare. And I had my Galassi, obviously. I had Bravo, who is injured, of course, and I hope that he's going to be back as a starter. Gustavo Bo's still coming back from Argentina. So a lot of my super rares are I don't feel confident putting them in a lineup now. So now I need to kind of make a decision. Do I, go back to just focusing on America Rare Pro and use people like Zelarayan and Carlos Hill along with some of my super rares, or do I potentially sell those and invest in some high quality American super rares?
I think the super rares are probably the way to go, right?
The only issue with super rares is that unless you finish in the tier 1s and tier 2s, which isn't that the reason I wanted to go into that in the first place is that it doesn't look that unattainable. I think the score for a tier 2 super rare in America this week was 380 or something, and that's with all the super rare bonuses and everything. The guy who came in 10th, which was the cutoff for tier 2, he had a 30 in there. He had a 45 from one of his players. So it's pretty, and there was some pretty, not too bad tier 2s. And then if you come into the tier 1 territory, you're looking at super rare goalkeepers. I think Pantomis was in there. I think maybe first one a Nahuel Guzman. So it's attractive, but then if you don't finish in that top 10, you're winning cards that are impossible to sell. But then I guess you can roll them out in cap 240. I don't know. It's a tough one.
It's funny actually, Elster, that you mention cards that are impossible to sell. How about cards that are impossible to use?
Are we panicking?
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm.
Wait.
Everybody calm down.
Mate, there's always something in the Sorare universe to panic about, but this one seems like a biggie.
Look, as you know, I'm the most rose tinted glasses kind of guy there is in Sorare. Like, I believe in the platform. I believe that over time this will be a worldwide phenomenon. But man, they're really like, throwing me some challenges lately. They're really making it hard to stand by my rose tintedness. What do you make of all this K-League stuff?
I think it's a classic issue of like all this effort, all this time has been put into getting the Premier League. That was their big thing. And as a result, we've seen another league sort of go to the wayside. I mean, technically it's Opta's issue, but surely as a big conglomerate. I don't know why I chose that word.
You are so stupid. Am I?
As a big company, it's their responsibility to like make sure that this stuff can be resolved. And it's just, look, if it was just potentially the K-League that was having issues with coverage, okay. But then you pair that with the fact that we don't have any J-League cards in the prize pool in Asia. That's really bad.
Well, okay. Let me just put my rose tinted glasses on. I'll be back. I'll edit this out.
6.5 hours later.
Okay, so we've got our rose tinted glasses on. It's pretty concerning. No, I think it is an Opta issue, which sucks. And the scary thing is that they came out with an update today, and everyone was like, "Oh, here we go." They're going to be like, "It's all sorted," and they're like, "Yeah, no, it's not what we. It's pretty much for the foreseeable future that this is going to be like this." So, I think if we're looking at the bright sides, it's not like they're not covered. It's just that there's, for whatever reason, some weird delay in getting the scores for K-League players. So it's not as exciting, and it makes you really nervous. I mean, I'm a Sinjin Ho Super Rare owner, which I spent 2.2 ETH on, so the fact that I'm not going to be able to watch him rack up that AA is pretty terrifying. But the pros, they've said that they are in the process of getting the J-League renewed. So I have faith that they'll bring it back. It doesn't really make sense that it wouldn't come back. They definitely will have the K-League because they're like a sponsor of the K-League, and the K-League has been putting out like so rare promos. So it's not like that's all just going to die. It's just an Opta problem. So yeah, it's certainly not great, but I think now is the time, if you've got your rose tinted glasses on, to be putting our money where our mouth is and just buying some K-League players. But it's hard. It's tricky.
Yeah, well, I mean, like even with the Japanese players at the moment, I know like picked up a few at budget prices, but it's a tough one because there's no. Unfortunately, if this is off season, they can work it out. But at the moment, like the pressure's on them because the clock's ticking. Because each week, managers aren't able to run out a lineup. Yeah. Hey, with full rose tinted glasses on. I mean, if there was ever a time to onboard the A-League, I mean, now is the time. Bring us the A-League. Solve everyone's issues. Get that A-League on board.
Can somebody please tell me when is A-League?
Yeah, exactly. Change it to the, Champion Australia. Let's go.
That would be amazing. Like, hey guys, look, unfortunately, K-League was still unable to get any coverage. Look, no, we won't have any new J-League cards. But hey, we've got this new league down under. Chuckle your Asian boys in there. Go nuts.
That's it. Use your Japanese players to win Matt Leckie.
Exactly.
What more do you want?
Perfect. Well,
yeah.
Maybe not Matt Leckie. Maybe he's out for 8 weeks with a hamstring injury. But, yeah, I agree.
Oh, you heard it here first.
Yeah, mate. This is just the inside knowledge from from the A-League.
Can't wait for the Patreon. Yeah, so I'll take these off. It's hard to see. Yeah, it is concerning, definitely. But I think ultimately I have faith that Sorare will sort it out. But don't worry about all that. Have you heard about the new club shop, Simon?
No, tell me about this new club shop. I'm sure that'll calm all my fears about my cards being completely useless.
Well, I mean, as you know, you and I are always in the club shop. We love the club shop. We're constantly in there. Like, what will we be this week? Will we have a watermelon as an icon? Or should we have the Ukrainian flag as our banner? Like,
That is so lame.
the club shop is where we spend.
It's like in FIFA state. Everyone doesn't like playing the actual game FIFA. They like having to spend the time opening cards, opening packs that just give them little things to upgrade their stadium and their banners. That's what people really enjoy. So I'm glad that Sorare's jumping on board with that.
I'm confused because I'm being sarcastic, but I think what you're saying is just truthful. That is what FIFA players do.
No, that was
right?
sarcasm. Sorry. Yeah. Must have
But
lost
isn't that
it.
what FIFA players do?
Yeah, it's kind of annoying.
Okay. The only FIFA content I ever see online is people being like, "Oh my god, it's this new stadium."
No, mate, that is absolutely not true. It is definitely like, I just packed Mbappe. No one's being like, I've got a pink banner. I don't know what content you're watching, mate, but...
Fair enough. Basically, let me get the...
Sorry, continue.
They've updated the shop. There's a new... You can win Sorare coins, and apparently in some point you're going to be able to use those Sorare coins to buy merch, jerseys, tickets, boosts for your cards, so like XP boosts and stuff like that. So you will now be rewarded cards and ETH and Sorare coin. How do you feel?
Oh, I can barely contain my excitement. I love another pointless little thing to add on.
I actually think this is pretty exciting. I think the fact that you can be winning Sorare coin and then you can trade it in for like jerseys and tickets and merch and XP bonuses, I think that's pretty fucking cool. I think it makes me want to play. I think it makes me want to play the game more.
Idiot.
You don't think that's exciting?
Does it make you forget about the fact that we're losing leagues and losing coverage?
It doesn't make me forget about it, no. But I'm here to play the game, and if I can win some jerseys and stuff out of it, great. It's more ROI for me. We've already established this, Simon. We've turned our Sorare data gallery value to invisible. We're not looking at it. We're just playing the game, and we're going to try and win as much as we possibly can. And if we can now win some jerseys and some tickets, God knows this Wolfsburg stack isn't going to pay for us to go over to Wolfsburg anytime soon. So if we can win some Wolfsburg tickets by collecting Sorare coins, I'm all for it.
How many Sorare coins did our Wolfsburg boys win us this week? First, they came out. We started really poorly 2 weeks ago. We're back. How'd we go?
It's time to talk about the underdogs. So, Wolfsburg boys had a good week. As with last week, we were just a little bit short, but they've brought in our first reward. It's a tier 3
Can
limited.
we book the plane tickets yet?
Let me have a look at the team here.
Okay.
Let's have a look. Where are we? Here we are, the boys. Okay, so Cohen Castiles, we smashed it in goals. Almost 90 with a clean sheet. Paulo Ottavio, the new Ottavio, the better Ottavio in my opinion. He's got a slightly greener shirt than the rest of the team for no real reason, but we love him for it. He's different, our Paulo.
He's a special boy.
Smashed it. 82 with no decisive. What a boss. Love it. Maxi Arnold, Captain Fantastic. He's got a hairline a bit like mine, and he scores goals for fun. Love Captain Maxi. And then, much like the meme of the drawing of the horse where it starts perfectly and then ends up as like a stick figure, that's very much what we've got with this lineup. Patrick, completely let us down.
Is this the Krusty Krab?
No, this is Patrick.
Jonas came off the bench. I hope he's not been benched permanently. That's terrifying that our premium Danish striker, the Breeze, Jonas Windy Blast Fast.
I am the angry crab of trapped wind. Ooh.
Could be coming off the bench. So that's certainly a bit concerning. We may need to go do a bit more Wolfsburg shopping. But it doesn't matter. They brought us in a reward. Who did they win? Let's see. We won. How do I find my rewards? Here he is. Nicholas Romans. Nicholas Romans is worth a whopping $2.65. So whilst I thought we could potentially, put that towards a down payment on some flights, I think maybe we need to just adjust our goals a little bit and shoot a little bit lower. What I'm thinking, let me know what you think of this. For just a few more Nicholas Romans, we can be the proud owners of this VFL Wolfsburg pin.
Oh, I love it. I want one.
But I want it now.
It's nickel free, which is it's 3 grams, which is pretty weighty if you think about it.
And a genuine licensed product. 14 millimeters in diameter. I like it.
Exactly. So all we need is just a few more Nicholas Romans in the bank. But look, Wolfsburg boys, I know it's all going to come together soon. I can just feel it. I can feel it in my balls. It's coming. It's got to come soon. Unfortunately, they all performed a bit too well, so I can't put them in Cap 270 this weekend, but we're going straight into champion Europe. And I
you
think
heard it here first, everyone. Ulster feels it in his balls and he feels it coming. So take that as you will.
Haha, you said balls.
Oh, incredible. But look, underdog boys, proud of you. I've got another couple of Wolfsburg facts for you.
Amazing. Yes, I've been waiting all week for these.
Yep. So as we said last week, Wolfsburg formed in 1938, for the Wolfsburg factory workers at the Volkswagen factory there, of course. And maybe that was why Jonas was benched this week, double shift. But look, they've had a number of mascots over the years. They've had, I think they started off with just a man dressed as a Volkswagen car, but that was a bit terrifying for everyone. But then after the war, after the Second World War, they changed their mascot to an actual wolf. So they had an actual wolf that they would bring to the games each week, and they'd let it on the field, and it would just kind of like, they'd throw a tennis ball for it, and it would just tear off, and everyone loved it. But then a couple of years later, it went mental and killed a bunch of the cafeteria workers. So, they had to stop that.
Nothing like a wolf, tearing a few volunteers up to really put a damper on your home game win.
Yeah. Look, it did. Legally, it was a minefield. But
at what point did they?
No more wolves. It's just a man in a wolf suit now.
At what point do they go? No, he's a bit like that. He likes to muck around. Oh God! Oh,
what's he like?
Amazing, great facts, mate.
Yeah, thanks. I'd like to do the research for this show. So, yeah,
keep it coming. Now, Ali, to sort of wrap up one of our final segments of the show, got a few buy low, sell highs for us this week. Obviously, first week back of MLS.
We're making some money.
We touched on a couple of boys last week, and I think you might have been bang on the money.
I let the stocks decide my mood.
Fuck! Damn it!
Wait, is green good? Green's good. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I mean, so far my hit rate's been pretty good. I need to really get a database going of all my picks, but I know Julian Dessart has been crushing it for Ghent. Scored 100 the other week. That was one of my buy lows. I think he's still pretty low. I think everything's low at the moment. But definitely go out and pick up a Julian Dessart if you haven't already. Eugenia Mina obviously let me down this week, but has otherwise been crushing. But yeah, last week, I think one of my sell highs was Evander. Everyone would have been pretty keenly tuning in to watch the Portland game to see how this new fancy Danish wonder kid was going to go. He's not Danish, but you know what I mean. He pretty much did nothing, didn't he? He was lazy.
Really poor. Yeah. Lazy.
Yeah. Not to say that he won't be good eventually. My point last week was sell him before you see what he's like. Because I'm sure a lot of people saw what he was like on the weekend and went, "Ooh, I might lower that price a little bit." So, it's definitely, again, follow my advice. But this week I've got a couple more buy lows, sell highs for you. Sell highs this week. Really, the only one that I've kind of has been crossing my mind lately is Carlos Heel.
I don't understand nothing. Today is I don't understand.
The
surprise,
rule
surprise.
number one. The rule number one.
I know. I'm not saying that I'm going to go and do this, and I'm not even necessarily recommending you do this. I just have this feeling after watching their game the other day that he's not going to be quite the main man that he has been in previous seasons. I think young Noel Buck really impressed me playing in the midfield there, and I think he seemed to certainly didn't take over from Carlos. I mean, you saw his AA on the weekend; he was involved in everything. But I just feel like with Gustavo Bo out for a couple more weeks, most likely until he gets match fitness, I don't really like the rest of their forwards. So again, you're going to have that issue of Carlos can ping them in, but if no one can finish, then you're not going to get those decisives. And also I think just the way the team was running around, I thought, maybe he's not going to be the Carlos Heel of a few seasons ago. So it may be an opportunity to sell him and then buy back in after a string of, average kind of scores over the next few weeks. But I don't think you should get rid of Carlos Heel out of your lives altogether, but just an interesting one.
I sort of think that he's been on that way down probably since start to midway through last season. Like, he was still obviously a really great scorer, but compared to what he was at his absolute peak, last year we saw a lot more of those mid 50 scores. The way New England are playing, plus New England aren't as good as they used to be, so he doesn't have as many good pieces around him. I don't think he's rule number one anymore. I think the tides are changing.
It's I think Darwin Quintero might be the new number one.
I need to get a Darwin Quintero in my life. It's honestly the key, just getting guys that just absolutely crush in a small little farmers league.
The only issue, of course, as we've found out, is that those small little farmers league, the grip that Sorare has on their coverage is very tenuous. So Darwin Quintero could be completely useless. Well, actually, this weekend, I was really excited to roll Darwin Quintero out in my All-Star Rare Pro team. They're playing one of the worst teams in Colombia, but their game's been postponed because they're holding a concert on their field. So it comes, Wheels and roundabouts.
Enough said. What about some some buy lows, mate? What are some buy lows?
Buy lows, yeah. I mean, look, everything's a bargain these days. There's not too many sell highs really out there, but a couple that I thought would be worth looking into. An oldie but a goodie, Enzo Perez from River Plate. I think every year everyone has the same conversation. He's too old. This is probably his last year. I'm not going to buy him. And every year he's the first name on the team sheet. He rolls out good AA. This year he seems to have taken it up a notch. He's getting more assists. Even the games where he's just getting AA, he's getting into the 70s and the 80s. He's really just nailing it at the moment. Yes, he's old. Yes, he could retire in a year. But if you can get a whole season's worth of utility out of him at the price that he is, I think, there's a bargain waiting to be had.
I mean, anyone from River Plate's pretty tasty. I mean, they're not the dominant team they used to be, but I mean, they got Ignacio at the 10, Amani at the back, my boy Milton Pascoe at left back. I do like River Plate. Got a soft spot for him. Yeah,
I mean, just talking about your own gallery, I think his super rare can be picked up for 0.3 or something at the moment. If you could, knock 10 to 20% off that, I think if you rolled out your, an America Pro team or an All-Star Rare Pro team with him in there, he's not going to let you down. He could be a like for like with that Tom Hay that you've got, except you've got that super rare bonus as well. So, could be an option.
Okay. Yep. I mean, we do love AA guys.
Another one that I probably shouldn't be pumping because I have been trying to pick up his super rare, but no one wants to sell him to me, is Branco Ampuero. Let me look him up. Let's have a look here. So let me search for him. Ampuero. Okay, so this is another one of our Universidad Católica boys. Has played for the Chilean national team. He last sold for $67 in a rare. You can pick him up for a $5 in limited. Still very cheap. Had a bit of a dip there because he was injured for a couple of games. But as you can see, he's on the way back up again. And he scores really well. Obviously, the games he missed there. But if you take out those missed games, he's a pretty solid performer. In a strong team. So alongside Kagomaka and Mina there, it's a pretty active defensive line. They seem to be playing quite high up the pitch. I think this is like, if you're looking for a strong America defender, and by God, they're rare, this guy could be your fella.
And also as well, given that they've barely kept a clean sheet. I think they might have kept one clean sheet this whole season. Like they've been dominating, but just always conceding a goal. So look at those scores, and then you add in a few clean sheets with the +10 bonus, and
that's it. Yeah, well, there's nothing quite like seeing your defender score 31 AA without that 10-point bonus. It's pretty exciting. So there's a couple of money makers for you guys.
Love it, mate. And what is, to finish off, what is your best lineups for the upcoming weekend? Obviously, we've won now. We've got expectations. We want to do it again. And if I don't get anything but 416 points, I'll be very disappointed.
Well, look, this week's a little bit tricky for me. I was like I said, that Darwin Quintero game being postponed because of the concert really screwed me because a lot of my other super rares don't have amazing fixtures. It could be one of those weeks where I focus on rares, potentially. Obviously, my Sinjin has a great matchup, but I don't know if I can go through the stress of not knowing if his score's going to be added. Although I suppose they do count decisives. So as long as he gets like 3 decisives, he can just score 100 without AA and we won't need to worry about it. So, look, I think my strongest team this week could be America. Let's get my lineup builder going here. Riveting content. So this is my current rare pro, but I think this is going to let me down. So what I'm thinking I can do instead, get rid of these super rares. I put Arias in there, Lissandro, Carlos. I need a forward, so that's going to be my mission over the next couple of days, is to try and track down a good forward, and then put Lucas in there, both with massive matchups. I think that could do some serious damage in Champ America Rare.
Yeah. Is there any forwards you'd be targeting, or?
It's tough. There's a couple that I've got. Again, I don't really want to go buy a rare forward because I do want to focus on super rare. And I've got Quintero, I've got Bo, but I've got to wait for them, to use them. So there's no point going out and buying another one. But potentially I could buy one for the week, which always goes well because the price always goes up. I find when you buy it for the weekend, typically the next week you can flip it for a profit.
Yeah.
What about you, mate? What have you got? I mean, obviously your hopes are high now. You've got a new keeper in the gallery. You're ETH'd up. What's the plan?
I'm ETH'd up, mate. I think probably target the All-Star Rare again. Just having a look here. The new keeper comes in, Kojikoro.
Who the fuck is that guy?
You know how good I am with pronunciation, so I'm sure I've nailed that. I think got to wear the Benfica jersey. Otamendi straight back in there. Tom Hay keeps his spot, of course. Joisi, he's always a go-to. There's a new man in the lineup this week, and he's the man with the bad haircut, Lucas Ryan, up against DC.
You have to think he scores 1 million against DC, but this is the MLS.
Yeah, well, there's no Sasaki this week because they played during the midweek, so you sort of forced my hand either way. But look, I'd be lying if I wasn't a little bit excited to run out there I am with this lineup. I mean,
I love it.
Yeah, hopes are high, and then just running out my classic, America team. Buttery Joe, he's got the demotion to the America team despite a stellar performance last week, purely because, what's rare? Joe Wills clean sheeps. Sheeps.
Clean sheeps.
You know what's even more rare is back-to-back Joe Willis clean sheets. So
who are
do
they
the
playing
math
this
there.
week?
What's that, sorry?
Who are they playing?
Red Bulls.
Oh, I mean, that could have clean sheet written all over it, but we'll see.
Who knows, man? It's the MLS. And so, yeah, and then I'll run in a few punty boys in that lineup. So, look, yeah, hopes are high. Whether we can replicate last week's performance, I don't know. But I feel good. 1 week in the MLS season, and I've already outperformed my whole 2 years on the platform prior. So it's been good.
I love it. All right, well, I'm very keen to be chatting with you next week where we open up another tier 1 or maybe even a star. Who knows? If you captain the right person this week, who knows how high you can fly. Hopefully the platform still exists next week. We'll all be in our club shop, buying up some new stadium skins, making YouTube content about it. So can't wait.
And buying our Wolfsburg pins, of course.
Oh, look, we're probably another couple of weeks away from that pin. Don't get too far ahead of yourself. Just a few more solid wins and that pin's in the mail.
Amazing. All right, best of luck on the weekend, mate, and we'll catch you next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.